the season series. As Luis Severino is up on the mound, that's a sight for sore eyes for Yankees fans. Today marks his first major league start since Game 3 of the 2019 ALCS. John, he's pitched just 18 innings since his All-Star season that year. He was truly an ace in the making for the Bombers, but has had just a rash of injuries, and most recently Tommy John he's recovering from. That was back in 2020.
Yeah, there's a little bit of anxiousness when you get back on the mound. I believe he's a stud starter, and that's where he belongs. But you mentioned the time between starts. He'll have a short leash today, and one thing that he has to prove to himself mentally is, can he get over the physical ailments that have really cost and derailed this guy to stardom? If he is healthy, the Yankees have a leg up in their rotation because of the stuff he possesses: fastball, slider, changeup. And the velocity, he'll work his way back into the velocity as the year goes on.
During his heyday, he was nearly touching triple digits. The defense behind him, hey, it's the jumbo unit for the Yankees today. Gallo, a couple of Gold Gloves. Don't let a size fool you in left field. Judge is in center, and Giancarlo Stanton anchors right field for New York. On the infield, LeMahieu gets to start today at third base. Donaldson DHs. A new look at shortstop for the Yankees, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, former Ranger. Gleyber Torres starts at second base. Rizzo over at first. Today's odds are presented by Fox Bet as Kike Hernandez strolls towards home plate. Leading things off today for Alex Cora and the Red Sox. Now what rain? The sun breaks as we're getting set for first pitch, and hopefully the weather will hold. Severino missing inside at 96. Aaron Boone telling us he's stretched out to go about 65 to 70 pitches today.
One of the things he's going to want to do against Kike Hernandez, you see the velocity. He's got a lot of intensity, of course, being on the mound, and adrenaline. Keeping the ball away from Hernandez is going to be the key today.
98 catches the plate, but spoiled foul. Now for Severino, it was consecutive seasons of over 30 starts. He received Cy Young votes in 2017 and 2018. But then the injuries hit. On the ground, Kiner-Falefa won a Gold Glove at third base with the Rangers. He's now the everyday shortstop for the Yankees. Throw handled by Rizzo. Leadoff man retired.
One of the things that Aaron Boone is going to be excited about, his defense is going to be much better this year. Of course, in the infield with Donaldson, and you just mentioned the shortstop, their outfield can go get it. And I think the Yankees defense will be vastly improved, which really should equate to a few more wins this year if they all stay healthy.
And steps Rafael Devers. He homered yesterday in his first at bat. And speaking of the defense, and you look behind home plate for the Yankees too, Kyle Higashioka will have a larger role. Considered one of the best defensive catchers. Frame artist behind home plate. Gary Sanchez now in Minnesota with that trade with the Twins. Devers yesterday setting a little history as he fouls that back. Brian O'Nora, home plate umpire, having a quick word. Well, talking with Alex Cora, he knows Devers very well, of course, John, and man, you can expect big things from your superstars, and then you can do what Cora is expecting this year from Devers. I mean, his eyes lit up when talking about Devers and what he thinks he is poised to do this year for the Red Sox.
Yeah, he thinks he's checked in because physically he went through a lot last year, and he's a total different player this year physically.
Oh, dots him up at 98 on the lower inside corner.
When you think about the Yankees in the front two, again, all the eyes are going to be on Severino because Garrett Cole's their ace, and Severino's going to come into the picture if he can manage his body. The Yankees all of a sudden jump up a level in their pitching rotation and giving them a decided advantage, I believe, over the other clubs who all can hit but have some question marks in their pitching rotation.
First pitch a little bit low and inside to Xander Bogaerts. Tight hamstring for Xander. He was injured late in yesterday's game. He ran through a full set of tests, took some BP on the field, decided he was healthy enough to go today. Alex Cora being very clear with us how clear he is being with his players, monitoring their health to begin the season. Not only Bogaerts because of the injury yesterday, but also Trevor Story, who had a bit of an abbreviated spring training, even more so than the rest. Brian O'Nora calling balls and strikes today.
There's the nasty slider. You're talking about 98 miles an hour, and then he can throw the slider with an occasional changeup. His mechanics look smooth. He looks free and easy. And you can tell the crowd super excited about their young stud on the mound.
Well, you can't ask for much else. Luis Severino carves through Hernandez, Devers, and Bogaerts. Swings and misses last year for the Yankees. They tried to address that over the offseason. They bring in Josh Donaldson. He DHs today and leads off once again. First full season for Anthony Rizzo. He's at first base, and Giancarlo Stanton trying to homer today for the 6th straight game against the Red Sox. He'll be facing Nick Pivetta, the 29-year-old from north of the border. Enters his 2nd full season with Boston, and John coming off arguably his best big league season last year.
Yeah, definitely in a nice rhythm. But more importantly for him and the Red Sox is the confidence he's gaining. Doesn't always have to be perfect, is what his manager explained to him. Fastball, curveball combination with occasional slider. He's not afraid to throw up in the zone. He's got to stay away from early contact. He pitches ahead, he dominates. He pitches behind, he struggles like most pitchers, especially against the Yankees.
It's 0-2 to Josh Donaldson. This is low and outside. Not quite the Yankees debut for Donaldson yesterday. He had the walk-off base hit in the 11th. And Donaldson calls time. Donaldson coming over to the Bronx with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa from the Twins. That was a deal this offseason that involved quite a bit of star power. Gary Sanchez, Gio Urshela going from New York to Minnesota. Right to Devers at third base. And a hard out for Donaldson. Leadoff man retired.
Well, Yankee Stadium, when you're a pitcher in Yankee Stadium, you don't care how you get the outs as long as it stays in the stadium and not in the stands, because the porch down the left field line and right field line, of course, are easy. A lot of opposite field home runs, and against this lineup, you've got to make sure you attack without laying one in the middle, especially to this guy, Aaron Judge, because they will hit a lot of first pitch homers on fastballs that aren't properly located.
Judge takes outside for ball one. Judge coming off his third All-Star season, the second time he's finished in the top 4 in the MVP vote.
And obviously everybody's going to want to be talking about what didn't get done in the contract, and I think Aaron will be able to put it aside. It's easier said than done as a player. You want to play baseball and not think about it once it starts, and that's what he was hoping to do. And time will tell for the Yankees and their fans about Aaron Judge and what the future holds, but he's coming off a really good year, and if he stays healthy, he'll put up another monster year.
As Ken reported, he rejected a 7-year offer worth just over $213 million. You can see highest slugging percentage in franchise history. I mean, he's right up there with all the greats: Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio, and Mantle. He's behind 1-2. On the ground, and Trevor Story playing just his second ever game at second base. He circles around it, makes the play. 2 up and 2 down. Here comes Anthony Rizzo. He homered in his first at-bat of the season yesterday. 4th among big league first basemen, 250 home runs since 2012. That was his first year with the Cubs.
Part of the reason I think the Yankees and Aaron Boone thinks that their offense will be better is the second time around for Rizzo and for Gallo. Of course, they both came in midstream.
Rizzo comes back on a 2-year deal. He pops this up. Devers busy bottom of the first. Well, you knew Luis Severino would be amped up to get the start today. His first start on a major league mound since 2019 of the postseason. And you could not have asked for a better first inning. 13 pitches, a 1-2-3 frame, a couple of strikeouts. JD Martinez. Tough play, and Rizzo without his cap on can't make the catch for strike 1. Our Liberty Mutual player profile, we take a deeper look at Severino, his time away. We talked about how he was really a star in the making in 2017 and 18. A 3.18 earned run average over 63 starts is very durable. Since then, just 3 starts. He came back following Tommy John last September, pitched in relief for the Yankees, just a handful of appearances, and now back in New York's rotation.
One thing that's hard to predict, Aaron, I mean, he looks like he has a free and easy motion his whole career. You wonder if velocity contributed to the injury, because you never know how genetically you're going to be predisposed to it. But Tommy John.
Kiner Falefa can't make a clean glove on it, and JD Martinez is safe on an error by the new shortstop for the Yankees.
Looks like they had him pulled over, and this ball just takes a hop that doesn't go up as much as he thought. See how the ball stays down right there and just skids on him, and that is the difference between catching the glove and a clean throw and not.
First base runner early on today for the Red Sox. Martinez at first. That ruled a hit. Center cut at 97. Alex Verdugo batting.
Verdugo coming over again, just really establishing himself as a hitter. 289 average, but his ability to hit to all fields. He does like the ball away. He's got a over 400 batting average on the ball away. And of course, playing at home with that monster as that wall, if he learns to use that wall like most left-handers, sky's the limit for Verdugo offensively.
All right, when you talk about using the wall, how does a hitter use the wall?
Well, you know, when you pitch in Fenway, just like if you pitch here, you guard against certain parts of the ballpark. Well, you're going to try to pitch left-handers accordingly. You want them to pull the ball the biggest part of the park. And if you just lay fastballs away, which he likes, if you don't try to hook that ball and you just use the wall as your advantage, you just hit lazy fly balls, turns into doubles. You can hit rockets off the walls that turns into doubles, but that's where Wade Boggs, of course, made a living.
Oh, this is a rocket torched out to right field. Alex Verdugo, a 2-run home run, his first of the year.
I believe when you see the replay of this pitch and the location, this is an excitable young man. Last year, he was so excited. They had to calm him down from some fans in left field. But he plays with a lot of energy and certainly loves when things are going well. And a good start to the Red Sox here with a 2-run homer. Pitch is going to be away, and you see how he centers it. And any hitter in the big leagues right now, doesn't matter how hard you throw, if you center cut the fastball down the middle, the average is way higher than any other zones. Simple mechanics, leans back and then lets the bat fly.
Trevor Story fouls 98. Right back, Higashioka had to wear some of that. And Brian O'Nora, home plate umpire, will give the Yankees catcher a minute or two to clear the cobwebs.
Story, unique power, of course, middle infielder with power, now playing second base for the Red Sox. Question's going to be, what does he do and how does he do against and away from Coors Field? His former teammate.
I barely hit 200 last year on the road. Severino ahead 0-2. Well, velocity has not been a problem for Luis Severino. Bobby Dahlbeck on deck. Now the velo that we're seeing from Severino as time is called.
The one hard part,
harkening back to his.
The hard part's going to be is can Severino stay away from overthrowing with velocity and still maintain that starter's mindset, because being out of the bullpen and coming back from injury, totally different.
I thought Aaron Boone had some really interesting comments today about that. John, you certainly can speak to this, that the message to Severino has been, don't chase stuff, right? Chase your mechanics. And when you nail your mechanics, your stuff will follow. Story, and it's under the dive of Joey Gallo. Story is into second base. He picks up his first base hit in a Red Sox uniform.
Well, that one fooled Gallo. Of course, he's playing left field. It's a big swing off the end of the bat, and this ball has hook spin and doesn't carry. Watch it dive down right there. See how it works almost away, and he couldn't judge that off the bat. And Gallo, a good defender, but playing left field, just didn't get the break he thought he was going to get with the kind of swing that Story put on the ball. That not as much of his fault as you would think, even though it looks like it's a catchable ball.
Two Gold Gloves for Gallo, known for that cannon of an arm, as that clips the edge and is strike one to Bobby Dahlbeck. Now 3 straight hits for the Red Sox to begin this second. The infield base hit, the Verdugo homer, and now the bloop double from Story. Ball and 2 strikes at Dahlback. Gleyber Torres far off the bag. Now, Severino this spring appeared in his first spring training game since 2018. I'm going to talk about a long journey back. LeMahieu gets the start today at third base. And there's out number 1. Story stays put.
Much needed out there.
There's Jackie Bradley Jr. batting with Story at second. Bradley returns to Boston after a 1-year hiatus in Milwaukee. Keeping a watchful eye on Trevor Story there.
Well, for Bradley, of course, one of the best defenders in center field, and won't play a ton of center field with Kike Hernandez there, but whatever they can get out of his bat is a bonus because he's an elite defender.
Tight to the line, a fair ball. Rizzo makes the routine play. Story is into third. Well, you bring up he's an elite defender. You know, our good friend and a true icon in any broadcast booth, Joe Castiglione, longtime voice of the Red Sox, who this year, by the way, marks the 40th year for Castiglione in the booth for Boston. When he was inducted into the Red Sox Hall of Fame and threw out the ceremonial first pitch at Fenway Park, he had Jackie Bradley Jr. be on the receiving end of his first pitch because, as only Joe could say, Jackie catches everything. And he was right. He's the perfect guy to have. There's strike 1. Story at third after the double, a 2-run home run by Verdugo, and Vasquez, the number 9 hitting catcher at the plate, takes high.
Vasquez trying to regain that power stroke that he got locked in a couple years ago. He really struggles against sliders. Second lowest average in the major leagues last year. So look for a put away pitch from Severino to be off the corner and a slider down and away if he gets him to that spot.
Center cut at 99. Vasquez can't square it up. 1-2. Top of the order is next. That's Hernandez. Verdugo has made this a 2-0 Red Sox lead. Higashioka using the PitchCom system. Not every team has adopted it, but the Yankees are early adopters of the new technology to electronically signal the pitch call to the mound, and a couple of infielders as well. .99 down the pipe again, fouled off.
Well, he's got him set up for a slider, and the PitchCom, I think, is going to have a much needed intended consequence of speeding up the game a little bit and getting the pitchers and the catchers on pace. Not everyone will use it, but I think it has the opportunity to work really well for the tempo of the pitcher. And as long as the infielders can get the same signals and don't get crossed up, I think it's going to work great.
Higashioka, one of the few to put it on his shin guard. Most catchers have it on their wrist, but the knee works well for him. Hey, think of it coupled next year with the pitch clock, and it seems like those two pieces of technology will go hand in hand.
Absolutely. You know, if this was 20 years ago, you'd want it reversed. You'd want the pitcher telling the catcher what he's throwing, because that's what the game's called by pitchers. Today, it's more called by catchers, and the information overload will help slow that down, if you will, because a lot of young pitchers are relying on that information. So in a perfect world, I'd like to be able to give the signal to the catcher, and then we know for sure.
Another heater at nearly triple digits fouled away by Vasquez. It's been a long inning for Severino. Remember, his pitch count, they're targeting somewhere in the neighborhood of 65 to 70. They're just 13 pitches in the first, a 1-2-3 inning, but this one a far cry from that. Next pitch will be number 40.
Well, he must not have the feel for that slider, because he's gone to the changeup. And the one thing that looks really good is the way the ball's coming out of his hand. The only thing that early on, and you just know this is going to happen as a pitcher leaving spring training, not to mention his history of injuries, location just a little bit off. And the longer innings going to get a reliever up, because you don't want much more than 25-30 pitches in an inning.
Now there is 100 on the gun. Ron Marinaccio, the rookie, would be making his big league debut, warming up in the bullpen for the Yankees. This will be at least a 10-pitch plate appearance for Vasquez. As Aaron Boone, who used his bullpen a lot yesterday, was a shorter start than expected from Garrett Cole. He's going to have to dip into that bullpen early today as well. Pitch number 10. They'll bring on an 11th.
6 pitches ago, he had him set up for what I was talking about, the slider down and away, and he has yet to throw it. So he's pumping in fastballs, and really Vasquez is doing what any hitter wants to do, is fouling off the ones that he can't catch up to, meaning location wise, and looking for the one that ends up right down the middle, and that's the one you do damage on.
If there was a competition for fouling off 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, Vasquez would be a gold medalist. He's putting together an incredible at-bat that is quickly exiting Severino from this game.
Oh, exactly. I mean, it's put a lot of pressure on Aaron Boone to probably, if he doesn't get this hitter, you wonder if he's going to go get him and not put any more undue stress in a long inning that has been this second inning. But it isn't because he doesn't have great stuff. His stuff's electric. He just hasn't had the put away pitch to eliminate 7 foul balls. There it is.
Back to the mound. A 12-pitch at bat and a 31-pitch inning for Severino. Alex Verdugo, long time ago at this point, 2-run home run. He's put Boston in front. Verdugo and the Red Sox. Verdugo's first home run of the early season. 2-run home run out to right field. He's put Boston in front. Long time down for Nick Pivetta. He had a 1-2-3 first inning. Facing Giancarlo Stanton to begin the home second.
Pivetta and his curveball hasn't had to throw many because he's been aggressive with his fastball. You got to be careful with Mr. Stanton on a way. He can flick it like he did yesterday, line drive style, rockets out of this ballpark.
Hard hit grounder smothered there by Xander Bogaerts. 2 pitches and 1 away. Well, baseball is back, and Fox Bet Super 6 is giving you a free chance to win $10,000 today. All you need to do is scan the QR code, download the Super 6 app, and enter your picks in the MLB Super 6 Challenge for a chance at the jackpot. All you have to do is download. Now, last year, a bit of a down year for DJ LeMahieu. Remember, he won the batting title in the shortened season. It was his second batting title, his first with New York. You can look at his batting average from last year and how it was nearly 100 points off of his previous year, which is kind of tough to compare it to a shortened season, of course. But really, it was his slug that really suffered last year. It was his lowest slugging percentage since 2014. And although you don't necessarily think of LeMahieu as a guy who mashes the ball, he has certainly added some power to his game. Breaking ball fouled off.
Well, one of the things that actually does play in the continuity of the Yankees offense was disjointed last year. Talking to Aaron Boone, he didn't feel like they were a really good offense. And when guys in front of you and behind you are not clicking, and part of that is DJ LeMahieu was bouncing around all over the lineup due to the injuries, you get out of rhythm a little bit as a hitter.
Hey, think about it this year. The Yankees have more infielders than they at times know what to do with. That does allow them to certainly have some versatility. Gleyber Torres didn't start yesterday on opening day. He's in there this afternoon with Donaldson DHing. Plenty of options, though, for Aaron Boone. Rizzo, Donaldson, Connor Falefa, Torres, LeMahieu. 5 men for 4 spots. High gas at 94, and LeMahieu is down on strikes.
That's the high fastball. Over 45 to 50% of the pitches, he can throw that ball upstairs, and that curveball really actually plays off the height of that fastball, and it makes him so much tougher to hit.
Two up, two down. In steps Joey Gallo. Gallo went to his second All-Star game last year. Acquired by the Yankees from Texas. He won his second straight Gold Glove last season. Really struggled offensively, though, after the trade. Hit just 160. Did walk at the highest rate of his career last year. He led the league. Also led the majors in strikeouts a season ago. It's interesting when you look at Gallo. He has a good idea of the strike zone. He doesn't chase that often, but he struggles at making contact with pitches in the zone. Take that back. This is off the wall. He turns on 94. Gallo runs well, but this throw is there in plenty of time, and Gallo is cut down at second base. Strong throw in. Jackie Bradley Jr. with Bogarts on the receiving end. Red Sox in front 2-0 thanks to Verdugo's home run to start the third. Long second inning for Severino. 31 pitches. This could very well be his final inning if it doesn't move quickly for him. Looks like he's trying to get on the same page here as PitchCom. Uh-oh. They lose a receiver? Well, note to Joey Gallo, don't test Jackie Bradley Jr. Gallo's normally on the other end of that type of play. Looks like we got an issue maybe with PitchCom. Yep. Oh, you know, it works better when you put the receiver in your cap. Or maybe there was a defective one that they need to replace.
Little kink, that's all. No big deal. You know, I'm surprised, you know, for a guy like me who doesn't like tags in a shirt, I guess it's not that invasive in the hat. To be able to wear a hat and still hear an audible voice. I'd have your voice in there, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, now that's nice of you. You know, I hear that it just makes the cap fit a little snugger on your head. But other than that, you can't really feel it. Hernandez fouls away a fastball. Well, I wouldn't be able to fit on my head. Yeah. Yours might be a little loose to begin with. You could actually use a pitch comb on both sides, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it would be a little cumbersome for me.
Nothing in 2 on Kike Hernandez. Severino making his first big league start since Game 3 of the 2019 ALCS. With a pitch count today of somewhere in the neighborhood between 65 and 70. Hernandez strikes out. That's the 3rd strikeout for Severino as we check in with Ken.
Well, for all the talk about the Aaron Judge extension, the guy coming to the plate right now, Rafael Devers, also rejected an extension this week, as did his teammate and left side of the infield partner, Xander Bogaerts. Now, Devers is not a free agent until after the 2023 season, but if he erupts the way Alex Cora keeps saying he's going to be quite a pricey item. Bogaerts in an entirely different situation. He can opt out at the end of this season, sacrifice his remaining 3 years and $60 million, and it's a bit of an uncomfortable situation for him. He didn't sign, obviously, with the Red Sox just now. Trevor Story could be his replacement at short, and if he opts out, there are other shortstops on the market, Carlos Correa potentially, Trey Turner, and this all comes at a time when Bogaerts' defensive metrics are an issue.
This is getting Gallo back, and it's off the wall. And the hot start to the season continues. Right on cue for Rafael Devers. It's an opposite way wall ball double.
Well, he is just so good at the plate. Look, it looks like he opens up and he's pulling off the ball, but he stays on the ball and he hits it the other way. That's an easy double at his home ballpark. Might have been a home run. About 5 feet short of a home run here at Yankee Stadium. So Devers not missing a beat out of spring training.
Kenny, you were speaking of Devers right at the perfect time. Here's Bogaerts, and you bring up an interesting point about the flooded class or somewhat flooded class of free agents to come and the metrics on Bogaerts and kind of where that fits into things.
Well, Aaron, he's a great player. There's no question about it. The Red Sox love him because of his reliability, his consistency, and he is good at shortstop on balls hit to him. It's his range that's an issue, and the question, if he becomes a free agent, will be, does he stay at shortstop, or like Trevor Story, does he end up moving to another position?
Yeah, Kenny, you know this well. John also, he agreed to what was considered a below market value extension. That was 3 games into the 2019 season. And you think about the contract that he agreed to, which he is now within his rights to opt out of after this season. And also, he was, by all reports, active in recruiting Trevor Story to join the Red Sox and form that incredible up-the-middle tandem of Bogaerts and Story now. And you wonder if that loyalty will be repaid to Bogaerts.
Well, the one thing I know is Bogaerts is in a class by himself, and I'm sure if there's an ability to work it out with Boston, he'll be in Boston. He is the most underrated superstar because of the flair of everybody else. All he is Mr. Consistent, both offensively and defensively.
And we just saw his rank since 2015 among big league shortstops, and he's been one of the very best, second in on base and average. Look at his slug, it's a top 10. the knees, rung him up at 92. Bogarts heading back empty-handed.
That's the only place you can get him looking is down. And this was down on the bottom part of the zone. And when it left his hand, I'm sure Bogarts thought that ball was going to continue to go down. But see the tail, and it kind of holds its place. Good job by the catcher. And that's the only way. The strikeouts down looking is how you get a great hitter in Bogarts.
Now, John, what's happened here a couple of times? We've seen Severino throw back to second base. First it was when Story was there. Now Endeavors is there. And Torres is in another area code.
Yeah, I don't know if that's coming from the pitch comm. You know, I don't know if that's one of the buttons, and Torres is not getting that information because there's no daylight play. And daylight is when the infielder shows you his glove and he starts going over to second base. We're not seeing that.
Strike one to J.D. Martinez.
I'll tell you one thing, though. You're taught to throw it over the bag. And he's throwing it right to where the guy is so that there's no problems in that ball sailing into center field. So he's not really picking him off per se because he's tossing the ball as he sees there's nobody there. Kind of an athletic move as he turns around.
Marinaccio warmed up and ready to go. Severino nearing 60 pitches. He's got a chance to finish 3 innings today. Devers at second, 2 gone. The 1-2.
You've seen the feel for the changeup. He's thrown a lot of changeups, 90 miles an hour. That's an outside changeup away to a guy a couple years ago who couldn't hit right on right changeups. He's made the adjustments every year. That's why J.D. Martinez is so good. Whatever he was deficient the year before, he comes with a mindset to take that away from the pitcher the following year.
A man once released by the Astros. That was back in spring of 2014. Completely revamped his swing. And has become one of the game's great hitters. Comes up empty this time. 5 strikeouts for Severino, who goes 3 today.
Alone. Chicken.
A good day to be out of the ballpark. The rain has cleared. The sun is out in the Bronx. Red Sox leading 2-0 as Gleyber Torres leads it off and whiffs on a center cut 94-mile-an-hour fastball from Nick Pivetta.
Just think if the Yankees get what they're used to getting out of Torres, how much better their offense is going to be if he just has a normal season.
You think back to his career timeline. Torres debuted back in 2018. He was only 21 years old. He made the All-Star game each of his first 2 seasons while mashing 62 home runs as a 21 and a 22-year-old in the big leagues playing for the Yankees. He's hit only 12 homers since 2019. And he strikes out to begin the home third. I'll bring your friends to one spot with all your favorite free MLB games. Play the hits with Beat the Streak, Quick Pick, and more. Visit MLB.com/play and download MLB Play today. There is Higashioka. He takes the mask off of Vasquez and rattles Brian O'Nora, home plate umpire, as well.
It's that good fastball, 4-seam fastball, and 2 for the price of 1, unfortunately for Vasquez and the umpire. But I think the Yankees' bottom 3 of their lineup, which may not produce the highest average in power, but I think it's going to produce more contact, especially with the guy on deck that they were able to get over here to play shortstop.
Connor Falefa on deck. Takes a strike.
That's why many people think that the Toronto Blue Jays have the deepest lineup. The Red Sox have a great lineup. The Yankees have a great lineup. We talked about the Rays and their magic and how they, but 1 through 9, it might be tough to beat the Blue Jays lineup.
Now the hook gets him. Back-to-back strikeouts here in the bottom of the 3rd. Well, Kenny, we're talking about the pitch comp system. It seems like the Yankees are in and the Red Sox are still TBD.
It's really interesting too, Aaron, why the Red Sox aren't using it. They're just not comfortable yet. And Alex Cora told me today that he's not convinced that pitchers will have the same conviction when they're not going through the normal sign sequence, when they're simply getting a transmission from the catcher. And he used the example of Yadier Molina and the confidence he gives pitchers in the pitches that they're throwing. So, John, I'm wondering if you can put yourself in the pitch com era, do you think it would make that big a difference?
I think
about it, John. You know what,
Kenny? I think pick it up.
Well, maybe a little surprising. Luis Severino is back out there in the 4th. He's at 62 pitches. The target was 65 to 70. You can see the 31 pitch second really chewed up his pitch count. He'll face Verdugo to lead things off. It was Alex Verdugo who connected on a 2-run home run back in the 2nd. Starts him off with a very close pitch, ruled ball 1. All right, John, so to finish up, Kenny asked you essentially how you would feel receiving signs electronically. Would that alter the conviction you would have in the signs that are relayed to you? This finds left field for a base hit. Verdugo, a good afternoon. He's 2 for 2.
I think the deal is a comfort level of what Alex is saying makes a lot of sense. And, you know, again, the transition of pitchers calling their own game, that's not a high percentage of guys that do that anymore. If you're calling your own game, you have high conviction already. If you're looking for that conviction from the catcher, then it's going to be touch and go on some of those guys.
Well, that's it for Severino. He goes 3+ and is done for the day. Severino is done after 3+ innings. He strikes out 5. And a big day for Ron Marinaccio. Making his major league debut. Grew up a Yankees fan in New Jersey. Making the opening day roster. And he faces Trevor Story.
Yankees, of course, 16 pitchers, and that won't be all year. You can't do that all year, but because of the circumstances of spring training up until May, they are carrying 16 pitchers. Their offense is pretty set. They don't really mix and match a ton, so they're going to mix and match out of the bullpen. And the first 2 games, probably upwards of 15 to 16 pitchers they'll use.
He is the first ever 97 in Yankees history. Story in front 2-0. Story connected on his first hit in a Red Sox uniform his last at bat. He doubled into left field. Marinaccio went to high school at Toms River North High. Grew up a Yankees fan. Had Tommy John in high school his final year. After graduating high school in 2013, he received a scholarship to play at the University of Delaware. Had to redshirt his first season in 2014 after rehabbing from Tommy John surgery. And spent time as a starter and a closer. And drafted by the Yankees, and he walks the first man that he faces in the show. He walks Trevor Story to put 2 men on base.
Well, he has that lower 3/4 delivery, and right now he's throwing little upshoots. He's trying to get the ball into an area where he has to stay on top of the ball, even though his arm angle is lower. It creates an illusion to the hitter, but he has not located the first 4 pitches that he's come into. And you can only imagine what his emotions are like, taking the mound first time ever and wanting to check in the pinstripes.
Against the Red Sox, no less. Now facing Bobby Dahlbeck. Trying to find the strike zone. There's ball 1.
Looks conventional there, but then kind of drops down, lowers the angle, and then tries to get his hand back on top. And he's just a little bit in between. This is a good mound visit just to get the young man settled, because his heart rate is, I guarantee you, through the roof right now. And those are the things, when you leave the bullpen, you tell yourself you're ready for this moment, but you never know what the moment's going to bring until you get out on the mound for the first time.
More times than not, no way to know for sure right now, John, but is a mound visit like this from Higashioka, is this a mechanics conversation, or is this a lie on my couch for 30 seconds and let's talk conversation?
Yeah, just to get him to calm down a little bit. He looks like he's out of his mechanics a little bit, and usually that results in a lack of location.
There's a strike.
I mean, you hear this stuff all the time. Hey, trust your stuff, stay back. You know, it's kind of like going all the way back to Little League days when everyone from the stands is yelling what to do. Keep the ball down. You know, yeah, that's the whole goal. But you need some certain reminders to stay within your mechanics.
Nobody out, 2 on. Red Sox trying to add on to their lead. It's a pretty nasty movement in 96. Jackie Bradley Jr. is next.
It's just funny what your brain starts thinking about when things go awry. You start thinking about more things going awry instead of getting back 1 pitch at a time.
Got away with one right over the heart of the plate.
My first professional pitch was in instructional league. I threw the first pitch up, second pitch over the hitter's head. Third pitch was going right at him and hit the bat, and I went, all right, here we go. 2-1, got my strike, settle down.
So, do you think there's much of a difference between the instructional league and Yankee Stadium?
I do, but the premise is the same. When you get your first strike, you just have that ease about you. Even if it's a rocket to center field, you got to get that out. You want to get that out in the books.
Boy, nothing is straight from this guy. Marinacio's got some pretty wicked life on those pitches.
Yeah, the angle he throws creates a nice little you would think he'd be tougher on right-handers, of course. If he can sweep this breaking ball, he's not getting extended. He's throwing it up. He needs to sweep it on the strike zone for a swing and a miss.
He gets his first strikeout of the big leagues. He fans Bobby Dahlbeck. And the lifelong Yankees fan picks up a strikeout in pinstripes, and he'll have something to send back home to Tom's River.
The ball boy's got to remember which pocket he put that in. That's a changeup, a nasty one. And when he throws it out, the ball boy puts it in his pocket. He's already got 3 balls in his left and right pocket. So who knows which one's going to be the first strikeout.
Well, they're all roughly the same. He looks like a professional. I think he's got a good feel for what's going on here. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Here's Jackie Bradley Jr. Bradley turns on this Foul ball to right field.
Every time I see a ball getting thrown out for something the first time you've done, I think of my teammate Charlie Liebrandt. He got a 2000 strikeout or something, and they didn't call time, and he just threw the ball off the field, not realizing that he had to call time to do it. I've seen a lot of crazy things, but anytime this young man will never forget the first one. He'll never forget it.
One out, two on. In play, Torres. What a stop. Connor Falefa's throw late to first base. Runners on the corners. Gleyber Torres with a gem up the middle.
This is an outstanding play that not only saves a run, they almost turned two. Jackie Bradley's speed. This ball short hops, he gets it on the backhand and tosses it in the turn. Was made about as quickly as you can. That does not, he made it look routine. That is not a routine play for Torres in the hole.
Well, it meets the approval of Luis Severino. Man at third base belongs to Severino. That's Alex Verdugo. There he is. Bradley at first. 2 outs, 2 on. Marinaccio trying to get out of this fourth inning, facing Christian Vasquez.
See, that's the pitch right now. You can tell he doesn't have the feel. That's going to be one of his better pitches when he can break that slider. And he's just throwing it a little late. He's got to stay back to be able to get extended so that it sweeps. And then he can use his fastball off of it.
Lucas Litke warming up inside the pen. Ball to strike now. Marinaccio gets ahead 1-2. Looking for his second strikeout. It was Vasquez who battled a 12-pitch AB his last time up. That was part of the lengthy 31-pitch inning for Severino that really shortened his day. Verdugo at third, Bradley at first as time is called. The 1-2. He rung him up. A little help from Higashioka. And Nick Pivetta, very efficient. 31 pitches to spin 3 scoreless so far. Just 1 hit. He's faced the minimum. Faces Josh Donaldson, top of the order. And first pitch curveball really took something off.
Josh Donaldson's healthy. It's going to be because his legs stay healthy. Had calf problems. He's a hitter that hits off of his legs. He squats in all his power, looking to generate, to lift the ball and create backspin.
This is a fair ball into left field. Donaldson A leadoff single. As we send you back to L.A. KB, what's going on for a game break?
Aaron, the Blue Jays are going to score a lot of runs. Bo Bichette hit 29 home runs last year as an all-star. Well, here's his first of this season. Ties the game up at 3, and since the Blue Jays have taken the lead, it's now bottom of the 7th, 4-3 Toronto over Texas. Aaron, Smoltzy, back to you guys.
All right, KB, thank you. John, you were talking about the Blue Jays, that lineup they'll have. They had that dramatic come-from-behind win last night at home against the Rangers, and leading once again today.
It's an amazing opening day win. Down 7-0, and their offense rewarded them with an exciting one-run win.
Now Pivetta gets a strike called, a touch wide to Judge.
What I love about the first week of the season is how many people, how many fan bases, how many radio stations panic, jump off the ship in 1 week if the team doesn't do what they're expecting them to do in the first week.
Close pitch.
Aaron Judge, every pitcher's dream is to pitch in the bottom of the zone and throw sliders outside of the zone. That's what they want to do. But it's not a dream to pitch to Aaron Judge because not everybody can command the ball down there. They make a mistake middle to middle up, it's gone.
High fly, straightaway center. Kike Hernandez leaps, and Hernandez makes the catch at the very top of the wall. What a play in center field by Kike Hernandez.
And almost on cue. He made a mistake up, but he hit it to the farthest part of the park. And Kike, one of the best center fielders and outfielders and just defenders in general, gets back there to make the play. But that was a whisker from being tied up, and a mistake. The only mistake that Pivetta has made this game did not cost him.
Almost out to Monument Park, but a couple inches short. Donaldson takes second on the play. One out, a man in scoring position for Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo homered yesterday. And as we go down to Ken, Rizzo's got a chance to settle in a little bit now in New York.
He has, and you remember he rejected a 5-year, $70 million offer from the Cubs in the spring of 21. And people might say, well, wait, he took $232 from the Yankees, 2 years, $32 million, with an opt-out after the first year. But what was he doing? Rizzo turns 33 in August, but he figures he's going to make that money back. Full season at Yankee Stadium. The adoption of the universal DH should help him if he wants to opt out, and also the planned restrictions on defensive shifts. He's looking forward to that next season.
Yeah, he really fit into what the Yankees wanted to do, get better defensively, have more contact, more balance in their lineup. Most 20 homer seasons since 2013. Kyle Seager retiring after last year. So it is Rizzo and Cruz, the top two active players. Most 20 home run seasons since 2013. That's called a strike.
Well, I think he's the most important position player in the lineup for the Yankees. They are very predominantly right-handed power. They need this left-handed stud to do his thing in the middle of the lineup, and that left-handed bat is going to bode well if he's just a normal Rizzo year.
Rizzo, a high towering fly ball. Pavetta's telling you all you need to know. This is gone for a home run. Anthony Rizzo has homered in back-to-back games to begin the season and has tied this game at 2.
And again, location. Rizzo stands on top of the plate. He doesn't mind getting hit. 23 times last year, led the league. The ball that is middle to middle out is exactly where he likes it, because he takes away the inner part of the plate and takes away the vision of the pitcher to try to squeeze the ball tight inside to Rizzo. So here you have it. See, they want it up and in, but guess what? Right down the middle. The majority of the home runs that are hitting the big leagues, I guarantee you could put in a coffee can. And that's why these guys are lift, clean in place, swinging. They're just trying to launch. Beautiful compact swing.
Back-to-back curveballs. This is tackled by Devers. Throws a sinker over to first base. Skips it there on target to Dahlback. Good play by Devers for round number 2.
Great play by Devers. This was a rocket off of a hanging curveball, and you see that bounce. He stays with it. Incredible job. Knows he's got time. Probably did not get a really good grip on that ball. Once he gets the ball in the glove, he turns and throws almost a 3-fingered kind of slider over to Dahlback.
Been some hard contact by Yankees hitters this inning. Off of Pivetta. We barely saw any contact the first 3 frames. And steps LeMahieu. Last 3 balls in play have all been at least 110 miles an hour off the bat. That one from Stanton, back to your point, John, how good of a play that was from Devers. That was 113 miles an hour off the bat to Devers at third base.
Yeah, well, Pivetta, in his location of a high 4-seam fastball, his ball doesn't move much. It's straight over the top. He relies movement on his slider and his curveball, so the fastball location's huge.
Remember, it was Judge who missed a home run by just a matter of inches. Now it's a straightaway center field. Pivetta misses badly. It's 3-1. Rizzo a home run yesterday in his first at bat of the season. And has homered again today. Ball 4 to LeMahieu, a 2-out walk. First walk from Pivetta. That brings out Dave Bush, the pitching coach.
Settle back down. Damage could have been a little bit worse, and really it's just a tie game, and you as a pitcher know that you made a mistake and keep it right there. Your offense is plenty good to put up a bunch of runs.
Now 2 outs, a man at first. Here's Joey Gallo. Gallo singled his last time up, but then tried to test Jackie Bradley Jr. in right field and was cut down at second base.
You know, Aaron, I have a lot of random thoughts. And the thought that's going through my mind right now as I watch every Yankee go up to the plate is going into the weight room and going, come on, guys, you left the rack on this. Like every single guy is huge. And the weight they must be pushing around the weight room, it's almost a do not enter sign for anybody who's going to take some of those plates off of the, machines.
Well, it is scary to think, Gallo is 6'5", 250. And is he the smallest outfielder today for the Yankees? He's smaller than Judge.
Yeah.
He's right there with Stanton. He's ahead 2-0. It's ahead 3-0. Gallo has among the most walks in baseball since the start of 2020. Only Juan Soto and Bryce Harper have drawn more. So Gallo leading at least the American League in that span, but third in the majors. And he draws a 4-pitch walk. Back-to-back walks from Pivetta. His first 2 of the day.
And that's why, Aaron, I think both Rizzo and Gallo will do better having a second year in New York. It's different than playing in Texas, and they're not a winning team when you're there. It's different coming to New York, and the expectations are through the roof. And so for this Yankee offense, I think they have the greatest upside in the division because of what they didn't do last year, and they were still good enough to get to the postseason. I think their offense has the best upside. Everyone else, we talked about the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. They're equally as good, but I think the Yankees have the most improvement to make.
Torres going after the first pitch. Windy day over at first base in foul territory. Dahlbeck plays this easily to retire the side. 2 stranded, 2 come home on 1 blast from Anthony Rizzo. His second homer in as many days.
DQ is taking your taste buds for a ride with the new Signature Stackwork.
Even post-game coverage, blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Now the former Met, now in the Bronx, Miguel Castro is up on the mound. His numbers last season, 69 appearances with the Mets, over 70 innings. And you can see more strikeouts than innings pitched, but command control has been a problem. 43 walks compared to those 77 strikeouts.
Fastball, slider, changeup. 98, no shortage of miles per hour.
Misses to Kike Hernandez for ball 1. Rain has picked up. They appeal on the check. He does not go. Now Castro adds to what was last year one of the true fire-breathing bullpens in all of baseball. Yankees relievers had the second highest average velocity on their fastball in all the game. They averaged just over 95 miles an hour collectively. We've already seen a couple of 99s from Castro. A bullpen last year for New York, second in the league in ERA and second in strikeout rate.
Just to touch on that topic of velocity, and you mentioned they've got a lot of velocity comes out of the pen. With all the pending opportunities down the road to change the game, whether it's some rule changes or an electric strike zone that keeps getting all of this topic and all of this news.
Hernandez pops it up to LeMahieu at third base. Instead make it Connor Falefa. There's out number 1. I'll hold that thought. John, we'll go back to Los Angeles and Kevin Burkhardt, another game break.
Well, we have a little incident here, right? Cubs and Brewers. Keegan Thompson ejected. He came inside against Andrew McCutchen once, then he drills him. The reason being 3 Cubs were hit today. And so that led to this. A benches clearing, escalated chat. Let's call it that. No punches or anything like that, but things got heated. Cubs are killing the Brewers 9-0. Aaron?
All right, so Andrew McCutchen not pleased. We saw the bases clear last night in our nation's capital between the Mets and the Nationals. Rain really picking up now. You can see maybe that last pitch lost some grip. John, you were saying?
Yeah, and that's part of the narrative too, right? With the high velocity and everyone trying to pitch up, that's the problem with that. We saw some nastiness that came out. One was not on purpose, I'm sure. But the thought of this with the electric strike zone and the talk of them experimenting in the minor leagues and all that, if baseball doesn't take a look at lowering the strike zone, hitters are really going to struggle with high velocity at the top of the zone. And when analytics and all the information is telling you to pitch up and in, that's why we're seeing guys get hit. And we got to avoid that at all costs.
Well, this time it's LeMahieu in foul ground.
So if you think about it, as we look at this pitch that just catches off the end of the bat, when you have high velocity top of the zone and it touches that line, it's going to be a strike. And then you couple that with the ability to spin the ball and break it vertical up to down. That's going to be difficult for hitters in what it would be technically a strike because of the way the configuration of the system. So if that ever comes into the game, it needs to come into the game with a lower strike zone to give everybody a fighting chance, and obviously hitters a chance to hit that kind of velocity.
It's interesting. The league made a presentation recently about the electronic strike zone. As you can see, Lucas Litke once again warming up. And from what they were saying, the electronic strike zone will attempt to compress the strike zone vertically and expand it horizontally. So plate 17 inches wide. The strike zone would go to 20 inches wide, so an inch and a half off either side of the plate, while compressing it north and south by roughly the same margin to what you're saying.
Yeah, they would have to, because the size of the baseball, of course, is bigger than the line of the dimensions of the strike zone. So imagine a baseball crossing a string. Well, the outside of the baseball crossing the string would be a strike, just like the inside. So there's a variety of ways that you can take advantage of that as a pitcher. And I think the thought was it would help the hitters if an electric strike zone came in. I think it's the opposite unless they lower the strike zone.
Bogarts just gets a piece. Far inside, 2-2.
That's a perfect example right there. I mean, pitchers, everyone does it, but when you overthrow a secondary pitch, it backs up. Staying on that slider to make it turn the corner. That, even though he got out in front, he overcorrected from a ball that stayed on the inside part with spin, which is a bad recipe for a pitcher and good for a hitter. Even though you can throw the ball 98 miles an hour, you still have to be able to mechanically throw that secondary pitch to have the effect that 98 will have on a hitter if he sees the ball spin.
The payoff to Xander Bogaerts, and he walked him. It's a 2-out walk. Aaron Boone's got Litke warming up in the bullpen, the lefty. Lefty is now on deck in Verdugo. Right-handers last year hit just 180 off of Castro. He's faced 4 batters, Castro has, and he's gone ball 1 to all 4.
Still trying to wrap my arms around where everybody's sitting in the bullpen. 16 guys. Now, they're not all relievers. Of course, 11 of them are, but still.
In play, chopping softly, LeMahieu handles this routinely. And that retires the side. For the home 5th, tied at 2.
Take control of your health.
Where Kyle Higashioka will lead things off for New York. Opening day starter for the first time in his career. The path to starting has cleared with the trade of Gary Sanchez to Minnesota. Jumps on the first pitch. Verdugo tracks it. And a hard line out, number 1 off the bat of Higashioka. Two-run home run early in this game, in the second, in fact, from Verdugo. I can't remember the last player that I heard sound more excited to put on pinstripes than Isiah Kiner-Falefa. He was traded from the Rangers to Minnesota. He was a member of the Twins for all of 24 hours before being flipped from the Twins to the Yankees. He was a huge Jeter fan growing up, and now gets to play at his idol's position at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, for all that being said, you can understand why he's so excited, and that's the approach you got to have, because if you're worried about the expectation level and your performance can suffer because of the stage of New York. So I think he's got the great attitude. He's going in there with an idea that he's going to single this ballpark to death because he hits a lot.
Well, it is kind of an interesting profile for Kiner-Falefa. Of course, we know his incredible versatility defensively. He has caught in the majors. He won a Gold Glove at third base. Now at shortstop. The opposite way. This has some ride. But Bradley makes the catch with his nameplate up against the fence for out number 2. Well, from one new face to another, Kenny Josh Donaldson now in pinstripes.
He is, and Yankee fans might wonder, well, they didn't land Freddie Freeman. They weren't interested in Carlos Correa, so why did they take on the $50 million remaining with Josh Donaldson, who is 36 and has a history of hamstring and calf problems? Well, part of the reason was to get the guy we just saw hit, Isiah Kiner-Falefa, as well as the catcher, Ben Rohrford. Those were included in the deals, those players, in part because the Yankees were taking on that money. And something a lot of fans might not realize is that Donaldson, in the last couple of years, has been a better defender at third base than the player he's replacing, who went back to Minnesota, Gio Urshela. His advanced metrics superior to Urshela's, and of course, he is also the more proven offensive player.
That's saying something with what Urshela did defensively at third base. Of course, Gio Urshela, his career completely blossomed once being acquired by New York. And there's one thing that Donaldson can do very well, and that's hit the ball hard. You look at last year's average exit velo leaders, and you got 3 of the 4 now in pinstripes, with the outlier Vlad Jr. Now, a little frustration there from Donaldson as he takes us to break. We go to the 6th all-time. Yankees tied at 2 beginning the top of the 6th. Lucas Litke is up on the mound for the Yankees. Part of their bullpen last season, made nearly 60 appearances.
.88-mile-an-hour fastball, followed by about an 82-mile-an-hour slider and a curveball. So deception, doesn't rely so much on velocity as most lefties can create a different angle and mix and match with their off-speed pitches.
He held lefties in check last year. He really an incredible story. He went nearly 6 years between big league appearances. It's a swinging strike one from Alex Verdugo. Same pitch, same result, 0-2. Letke missed significant time because of Tommy John, that did not pitch in the pandemic shortened season of 2020. He pitched in the minors in 2019, and this was after he had some notable big league time. He was a Double-A All-Star. Debuted in the big leagues back in 2012 with Seattle. It was optioned 10 times in 4 years. Now you talk about a journey. He slows it down and he strikes out Verdugo to begin the top of the 6th.
That's the equalizer when you don't have 98. Be able to make an illusion look like that ball's going to be up as a fastball, and then the break takes it away from the barrel of the bat.
Facing a righty now in Trevor Story. Story's been on base twice, a double and a walk. It's a 3/4 swing and a miss. Under 200 against lefties, just about 260 versus righties. Six years, $140 million deal for Trevor Story, signed through 2027 with Boston. Playing second base for the first time in his career. And some insurance for Boston. Should Xander Bogaerts depart with his opt-out after this season, they could slide Story over to short next year.
Story with his swing plane may not come into play here against the lefty, but struggles with the ball above his belt, up. Does not get to those pitches very well, likes the ball middle to middle down. And that's exactly where he tried to entice him to get the swing over that curveball.
Aaron Boone has had to rely on his bullpen today, and we knew that was coming. Luis Severino getting the start, his first big league start since 2019. Severino went just 3 innings. Garrett Cole had a shorter than expected start yesterday. He was roughed up a bit by Boston, so bullpen's been taxed early on. Crowd wanted a strike, but it's 2-2.
Good pitch here, inside part, didn't get him to bite. Ball just cut off the plate.
For Trevor Story, this is his first season not in a Rockies uniform. His entire career in that organization. A 2-time All-Star, a couple of Silver Sluggers as well. On the outside corner. And framed perfectly. Yoshioka's had a couple of those already.
Yeah, he framed it, but I don't think this was a strike. So maybe you could say that the frame did imply that the ball came back over the strike. It was a backdoor cutter, but you could see clearly this ball's off the plate. And Story's going to take a look at that when he gets back to the dugout and wonder if he was correct.
There's Dahlbeck. Do you think a catcher's reputation can a catcher's reputation help with that, though, John? From a standpoint of, this is the real strength of Higashioka. There's no doubt that umpires know that.
There's no doubt, but umpires will tell you that shouldn't have any bearing on it. But the human factor just has to come into play. And if a catcher's good at it, he is going to get more strikes called. And I think that's why people have been clamoring for the technology to at least see what a strike and a ball is, and at least help the umpire out in the cases where the velocity's so great, the pitches are so close, the human error is going to come into play. So you raise a good question that absolutely the catcher, if he's good and quiet with his hands, is going to affect the game in that way.
Now, Higashioka has spoken about his training defensively and how he will catch off of a velocity machine, that it's throwing in the upper 90s, and will actually stand closer to the machine than he would at regular distance where he is in a game, to try to increase his hand-eye, to increase how well he can actually hold a pitch.
See, to me, the key to pitch framing is you've got to have a pitcher that gets it close. Like, I think it's a wasted stat on a bad pitching team to think you've got a great framer of a catcher. It doesn't matter if you're not close enough. That's why the pitchers play a big part in the ability for the catcher to make that.
Close pitch there. It is ball 4 to Dahlbeck. 2-out walk. Second straight inning the Red Sox have drawn ball 4.
And I've always said, Aaron, there's always one side of the plate where the umpires are lenient, and it's natural. And right now the outside part of the plate is more lenient than the inside part, and even down. So we've seen inside, not some strikes called. Outside, meaning the left-handed batter's box, that's where you can, as a pitcher, tandem catcher, you can, I use the word steal a strike, get a strike.
Left on left here, and Jackie Bradley Jr. takes strike 1. Lickey's got strike 1 to all 4 batters. Judge chasing after it on the warning track. He flags it down, and the big tight end out there in center field makes the catch and takes us to the bottom of the 6th. Nick Pivetta on the mound to work the bottom of the 6th inning. Today's starter for the Red Sox. Those 2 runs coming on Rizzo's homer. He faces Aaron Judge. Judge missed a home run by just inches his last time up. Now, Judge stands at 6 feet 7 inches, and he is a unique specimen in that regard, that he has both batted leadoff and started in center field like he is doing again today. He started 1 game as the Yankees leadoff hitter back in 2019. It was the year before that, in 2018, he started his first game in center field. Started numerous games there last season, and is out there today as well. He tied Walt Bond as the tallest center fielder in Major League history. Bond wasn't quite as beefy, but he was 6'7". Bond played back in the 60s. Off the plate by just enough. 3-1.
Well, what's cool about,
and he tied Frank Howard as the tallest leadoff hitter ever.
What's unbelievable is there's not a bunch of those examples, right? So he's kind of a freak when it comes to statistically those size players in our game.
Well, Norris says that he goes around, as Vasquez was looking for an appeal. It's a full count.
And he did.
No, you're right, John. He's one of a kind. Here's the payoff. Appeal. He does not go. Leadoff man aboard as we go down to Ken once again.
Well, for the most part today, guys, the Nick Pivetta we've seen is the guy we saw come of age in the 2021 postseason. You remember that 13-inning victory over the Rays in Game 3 of the Division Series? That was Pivetta, 4 scoreless innings to end that one. And then in Game 4 of the ALCS, Alex Cora talked about this today. He wasn't as sharp, and yet he still held the Astros to 1 run in 5 innings. So the question is, why didn't he do this with the Phillies? Well, for whatever reason, the Red Sox built trust with him. The pitching coach, Dave Bush, they showed confidence that he can succeed as a major league starter. And Pivetta, in turn, has matured. He's making better decisions as he gains more experience, knows when to adjust his big pitch mix.
Yeah, wonderful postseason for him last season. And now facing Rizzo, who belted the 2-run homer off of him. He's got Judge at first. And this is low and in.
Well, with all this information, sometimes it can confuse a pitcher and sometimes it can define a pitcher, meaning he doesn't realize his four-seamer does X up in the zone to what a hitter, because typically you don't want to throw the ball up if you don't have the backspin or the late life. And so a combination of the two with Boston has given him an ability to maximize his stuff in the zone and out of the zone.
And he spins that one across for a strike taken by Rizzo. Ryan Brazier worked yesterday. He's warming up for Boston. Clips the upper outside corner.
Threw a slide step at him and threw it up in the zone. A perfect example would be if the scouting report says this guy can't hit a sinker. What if you don't have a sinker? You can't invent one. You got to know what you can do with your stuff and then how to package that in a way that can get in and out of trouble when you don't have your best stuff and pitch to quadrants. And I think up is better than down for Pivetta because it brings in his curveball, and the curveball has a real biting break to it from the top of the zone to the bottom.
Rifle foul. Last time up for Rizzo. Remember a home run yesterday on opening day. And he does the same this afternoon off of Pivetta to tie it up. Pivetta threw that curveball nearly a quarter of the time last year. Batters hit just 165 off of it with not much damage dealt, to your point. There's the curve. Vasquez off the mask. Instead, Bobby Dahlbeck on the warning track. A dangerous lefty hitter. Rizzo retired.
That's a curveball that tied up Rizzo. Typically, most of your instructions would say not to throw that kind of curveball to a hitter because it's up in the zone. But when you have a fastball up in the zone, the hitter has to guard against it. He actually was tied up on that breaking ball that was up higher than high, and he ended up popping it up rather than doing damage.
First out of the inning, Judge still at first base after the leadoff walk. There is Stanton. Takes a vicious hack as if he knows any different. That's 0-1.
Now when you see a hitter do that, the tendency would be get the ball away from him. His front side open, his hip was opening, trying to launch the ball to left field. See if they go away and see if he stays off the ball by pulling off and away.
Stanton got all of it out to left field. Giancarlo Stanton. He has homered in back-to-back games and has put the Yankees in front. It's 4-2.
And that's the exact opposite of where he threw the ball. The first pitch, he pulls off the fastball with his hip. The second pitch is inner third. It backs up. He pulls off the same way. It's in his nitro zone. He's strong as they get. And it doesn't take much for him to leave any ballpark, let alone this one, here at home.
A pair of two-run home runs has put New York in front. First Rizzo and now Stanton.
This ball is supposed to be away. See how it backs up? And when a guy that opens up that quick, that is like shooting a layup in basketball. If that pitch stays on the outside part of the plate, he has no chance to reach it based on the mechanics of what he's doing at the plate. But he just fed him one.
Stanton's last two at-bats, 112 and now 113 off the bat. Last time was a ground out. This time he puts the Yankees in front.
There are times when you can't get Mr. Stanton out, and then there are times it looks like he's on roller skates.
Now the curveball induces a weak ground ball right back to the mound. There's out number 2 as LeMahieu is retired. Can you figure out why that is, John? How a hitter can be so Jekyll and Hyde in that regard?
You know, because he's so strong, at times you lose that feel in your mechanics and you think you got to generate it. He can just flick the bat. But his style of hitting has changed, I think, ever since he got hit, right? That one hit in the face a long time ago, and that has caused a style change, but he's strong as an ox.
Bullpen getting hot, and Alex Cora is heading that way. Pivetta, man, he was just cruising through 3, and he exits with 2 outs in the 6th. Fox, it's the most unpredictable race of the year when Bristol meets 20,000 truckloads of dirt and chaos reigns under the lights. The NASCAR Bristol Dirt Race, Easter Sunday night, 7 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Austin Davis on the mound now with 2 outs, getting set to face Joey Gallo. Davis acquired last year at the deadline from Pittsburgh for Michael Chavis. Also spent time in the big leagues with the Phillies. Misses ball 1 to Gallo.
4-pitch pitcher is Davis. Fastball, slider, curveball, and change.
Well, off the plate, 2-0.
You know, Aaron, you read that promo so accurately and so well. I went to my first race this year, my first NASCAR race, and actually got to drive the pace car. Total riot.
Were you nervous?
I was beyond nervous. I can explain it this way. Coming out of the bullpen, there's an unbelievable amount of adrenaline. It pales in comparison to the horsepower that is behind you 2 inches right off your bumper, revving their engines, waiting to get started because they've been caged up and they want to go 190 miles an hour around the track. It's unbelievable to look in your rearview mirror.
Now, when you're driving the pace car, do you get suited up, like we go in helmet, uni, I mean, or are you just walking in there in your Wranglers?
Yeah, I'm just walking in there, put the seatbelt on.
Safety first. Verdugo puts it away to end 6 innings in New York. Giancarlo Stanton, a home run yesterday, another one today, and the Yankees now have the lead. The 7th, Yankees now hold a 4-2 lead, and with that in mind, Aaron Boone goes to his bullpen and he calls on Chad Green.
Chad Green, incredible arm, fastball primarily with a cutter, slider.
First pitch fastball is skied into shallow center field. Aaron Judge calls off the 2 littles and makes the catch for round number 1. Back to LA, Kevin Burkhardt, a game break.
Phillies have 3 home runs today, including this one. 2-run shot from Nick Castellanos, new to Philadelphia, number 1 in the land of the cheesesteaks. And it's a lead over the A's, 4-1. That game now in the 8th. Aaron, John, back to you guys.
All right, KB, thank you. That's a quick out number 1. And on Monday night here on FS1, we'll have Mets and Phillies for you. Here's Kike Hernandez. They say that he goes around. It's a ball and a strike.
See that demon sinker.
Clay Holmes getting loose inside the Yankees pen.
It's just such late life. It's hard to explain. You're watching it on TV and you just say, why do guys look like they don't throw hard and the ball just jumps on the hitter? Well, this is a perfect example of what Green can do.
Is that a God-given thing, John, or something that you actually can perfect as a pitcher or enhance?
I think it's really an athletic gift that you arm. You hear the term late life. The ball comes out of a guy's hand, doesn't look like he's throwing hard, and it just jumps on the hitter, like right there. That's only 95 miles an hour. There are guys who throw 98 that get lit up because they don't have that. So it's more of a smooth athleticism, know your body, and it's, I guess you could say, yeah, it's part of a gift. If you could teach it to everybody, I'm sure everyone would do it. So Chad Green definitely can throw primarily fastballs and get away with it, especially on a good day when he has that late life.
Over 65% fastballs last year. This one's center cut. Rizzo over for a look, but this is into the seats. Green's 83 2/3 innings last year, led all relievers. He made close to 70 appearances. Oh boy, that is 96 right about the knees, and it freezes Hernandez. Speaking of the fastball, a good look at it. And Green, a guy with some even splits too. And there's no real clear advantage for a lefty versus a righty. Slightly better numbers, but not many. 4 outfield alignment for Devers. 4 in the outfield, and now a completely vacated left side of the infield. The jumbo package has gotten even bigger. Well, with nobody over there, long run. Higashioka with the gear on. This is a foul ball.
obviously the information tells you why you would try this and why you would do it, but I think you just mess with a guy's head too, especially if he's hot and he's hitting you well like he has already in 2 games. You're just begging him to get out of his mechanics and do something, maybe to just shoot it the other way. But definitely it hasn't been employed on Devers. I can't imagine too many times with 4 outfielders.
Crowd's got a wide strike zone today. It's 1-2. Two outs, nobody on. The 1-2. Up the middle, it kicks off the heel. LeMahieu, the third baseman, playing shortstop. They don't need any outfielders. He makes the play, and Devers is retired. Predict who will dominate the 2022 season, and you could win $100,000 worth of Bitcoin or cash with MLB Season Pick'em presented by FTX. View rules and enter at MLB.com/Season Pick'em. Back in the Bronx, we take it down to the field to Kenny.
Aaron, Kyle Higashioka batting second this inning, and you might be wondering why he uses the PitchCom transmitter on his shin guard instead of on his wrist like a lot of other catchers are. Well, one reason is because he doesn't want to have to take it on and off while he's hitting, and obviously he can just go up to the plate without worrying about it. And one other interesting note with him and PitchCom, remember the device gives both pitch type and location, and he told me yesterday that one thing he forgot in game 1 at one point was to adjust it for a right-handed versus left-handed hitter. You obviously have to do that to make sure you're giving the proper location. All part of learning the new system.
Very interesting on both counts. Thank you, Kenny. I did hear a story also, John, of a pitcher who received the sign. Because one of the beautiful things about PitchCom is that the pitcher can receive the sign, as Samamura has taken over with that great splitter of his up on the mound. A pitcher can receive the sign as he's walking back to the mound, right? He's received the throw from the catcher, his back is to home plate, and he can, of course, hear the signs as opposed to having to settle back on top of the mound and look in. So the pitcher received the signs electronically with his back to home plate. He knew what he was supposed to throw. He settled back in front of the slab, and he just stared in, waiting to look at the signals from the catcher. Because, you know, old habits die hard.
Excellent. It is going to take a while for everyone to get in sync, you know, no pun intended, and I think it'll work. For the clubs that work, it'll go faster. There might be more continuity, and as long as it doesn't mess up the pitcher, it's good.
Gleyber Torres, the first to face Samamura. First pitch, a strike. That splitter is such a swing and miss pitch. Elevates the fastball. Torres to center, but Kike Hernandez right there. Leadoff man sat down.
Well, what makes that splitter so good is the velocity of the fastball. It's not that much different, only 5 miles an hour different from the splitter. So when a fastball comes out, you know that it's a fastball velocity, but then it disappears as the splitter comes in at only 5 miles an hour. You can't tell the difference as a hitter. The only way to hit that pitch is if he makes a mistake.
Higashioka, long ago drafted out of high school by the Yankees. That was way back in 2008. Foul at the plate for strike 1.
We talked to Alex Cora, and his bullpen is going to be kind of feel out as it goes. He's going to use guys for matchups, doesn't have that prototypical guy he can go to right now. And until that happens, he's going to have to use a lot of guys in different situations as the season unfolds. Maybe he runs a hot guy out there or gets confident with one guy to be the ninth inning guy.
All right, John, I got a question for you.
Gotcha.
And it pertains to both you and the man at the plate right now. How is your dorsiflexion, John?
Not good. Mainly because.
Now, is that a fact, or do you know what dorsiflexion? You might be great at it, John. You might have no idea. I will admit I am also new to dorsiflexion. You know, dorsiflexion refers to one's ability to essentially flex one's foot towards their shin. This is hanging up Verdugo. Great catch in left field. There's out number 2. Verdugo's driven in the only 2 runs of the day for the Red Sox and has been busy in left. So Gashioka flies to left. So it refers to the ability to flex the foot towards the shin. And Gashioka has, John, extreme dorsiflexion, which explains in part why, you know, with all the catchers now who are such great framers who are down on one knee constantly, Gashioka is always in a traditional crouch, but it can get so low because his ankles, his feet are so flexible. He feels that he can get as low, if not maybe lower, than some who are on one knee and maintain the ability to block by being in a traditional crouch.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad you went in that direction, because I thought you were going to say he can toss his gym shorts over his head as he's taking them off.
I know that's what you use your dorsiflexion for.
That's how I use it. But it does make sense when you think about a catcher, and there's so many, you talk about genetics that effectively change a position that you might play, and no greater one than being hypermobile, double jointed, and in this case I just learned something with the ankle flexion that gives the catcher an advantage.
John, it's dorsiflexion.
Well, I understand, but I didn't want to go down that road and make that word, mess that word up. So I stayed with ankle because you gave me ankle.
I did give you ankle. Ankle flexion. 1-2 the count on Kiner Falefa, looking for his first hit in pinstripes. This is his second game. Misses low, 2-2. Yankees a 2-run home run in the 4th. That was Rizzo. And then Stanton giving the Bombers the lead in the 6th with a 2-run homer of his own. Jammed him on the ground to Devers. Third baseman makes the play smoothly, and the side retired in order. We go to the 8th. Yankees in front. 8th, Clay Holmes, the new pitcher up on the mound for Aaron Boone. Red Sox only runs came way back in the 2nd. That was Alex Verdugo with his 2-run home run. It's been 4 unanswered runs since then for the Yankees. There's Xander Bogaerts to lead things off. Holmes a hard thrower, mid-90s, hard slider as well. Picked up at the deadline, right before the deadline last year from the Pirates. It's kind of interesting with Holmes. He always had control problems with Pittsburgh. He walked just over 6 per 9. And that spanned nearly 120 career big league innings. This wasn't just a 1 or 2 month thing as he fires a fastball for a strike. He made 25 appearances for the Yankees last year following the trade and truly pitched the best baseball of his career. A 1.61 ERA as a Yankee. But here's the thing: 4 walks, 34 strikeouts over 28 innings. 97. That's nasty. 0-2. So he still had the good swing and miss stuff last year once coming over, and was able to manage his control as Peralta is warming up now. Gets a funky swing and a miss from Bogaerts. Don't see that often from Bogaerts. There is out number 1.
Nasty fastball with great movement. The outside part of the plate.
Made a good hitter look bad right there. 1 out for JD Martinez. Jammed him in 98. Quick skipper to LeMahieu. Quickly 2 gone. Yankees bullpen has been fantastic.
Yeah, it's one thing to come out with velocity, but he's got great lateral movement, late movement that tied up one of the better hitters in the game in JD Martinez. And that weak ground ball is because when he went to hit the baseball where he thought it was going to be, 3 inches inside of where he thought he was going to connect the barrel, it jammed him.
Two outs, nobody on. Here is Verdugo. He takes off the plate. Well, clearly the Yankees saw something in Holmes last year at the deadline when they acquired him, and they thought if they could just tweak this or that, a little left and a little right, they'd really have something in Holmes. And man, it sure seems that way based on last year and the back half of the season. Been a good day for Verdugo. A couple of hits, a single, and that 2-run home run. Oh, just missing the last couple of pitches. It's 3-0. You can add to the strikeouts and to all the velocity from Holmes last year. A ground ball rate that was off the charts. He was pushing 70% ground balls, second in all of baseball among relief pitchers. It looked like he dotted him up, but it's ruled ball 4. It's a 4-pitch walk to Verdugo, who reaches base for the 3rd time today.
Well, sometimes a mechanical change, a philosophical change in a different organization will help a pitcher get back on track. And that late movement is a big reason why that ground ball rate is as high as it is.
Well, things get interesting here. Trevor Story, 1 for 3 today, a double back in the 2nd inning. Story digs in here with 2 outs. And the 8th inning representing the tying run. On the ground, backhand, Kiner Falefa, and it is in time to get Story by a step. And a ground ball ends the top of the 8th and ends the Red Sox threat.
I call it the wheel.
Valdez more walks than he would have liked last year. Throws that changeup a lot. At the knees for a strike to the top of the order, Josh Donaldson. You hear Donaldson asking if that's the very bottom of the strike zone, if it's going to go any lower. That was borderline. Oh, 0-2. Aroldis Chapman warming up inside the Yankees pen. Still throwing 100.
Getting it done.
Smoked foul, still 0-2. But Donaldson had the walk-off base hit in the 11th yesterday for the Yankees as they won on opening day. Has singled and scored today. 36 years old now. Former MVP with the Blue Jays. Now Valdez trying to make that, Vasquez rather, tried to make that a strike. Even at his age last year, Donaldson, he still was just mashing lefties, and that was his calling card. Top 10 in the league last season. An OPS over 940 against southpaws, but he can still hold his own against righties. Judge waiting on deck. And last year, despite how seasoned Donaldson is, he hit the ball harder last year than any other season of his career. He goes fishing for this one. He strikes out to begin the bottom of the 8th. We go back to L.A. and Kevin Burkhardt for a game break. KB.
Aaron, NASCAR race day coming your way at the top of the hour. Race from Martinsville. It'll start right now, though, on FS2, Fox Business, and the Fox Sports app as soon as baseball's over. Catch the race right where you're watching on FS1. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of this one.
All right, KB, thank you for that update. Leadoff man retired. Here is Judge. That catches the plate for strike one. Hit hard on the ground, skimming all the way to Bogarts. Red Sox shortstop handles that smoothly. There's out number 2. Now rain off and on today. Skies have cleared though. And the Yankees trying to secure a series win against their arch rival with a victory today.
Yeah, 2 mistakes, right? 2 mistakes resulted in 4 runs off of Pivetta, and there was a lot of trouble early off of Severino, and he got out of it. Yankees have the lead.
Strike one to Rizzo. Now, Yankees aren't alone in this regard, but they're in the gauntlet right out of the gate. 7 straight to begin the season with Boston and then Toronto. So 2 stacked lineups. Overall, 24 games in 26 days to begin the season. Story in shallow right field. The side retired in order. Aroldis Chapman is coming on to work the 9th. Aroldis Chapman is called on to protect a 2-run lead and get the final 3 outs. 4-2 Yankees. And John, in his 13th big league season, Chapman now 34 years old, and he's still touching triple digits.
He's an incredible athlete, and he doesn't have to throw 104, but he's kind of revised himself with this slider and the split finger, and now he doesn't have to totally overpower everybody. He's got some other pitches to get him out with.
Well, Aaron Boone's bullpen has just been dominant today. His bullpen has gone 5 scoreless innings without allowing a hit. Bobby Dahlback leads it off for the Red Sox. '98 dots him up for strike 1. Swinging strike at 97. Fouls away 99. 3 straight fastballs to Dahlback.
You know, last
Chapman's got the slider.
That's what I was going to say. That slider and the issues that he had last year, Aaron, with that finger led to some of those droughts that everyone was wondering, is he done? He's not done. He's healthier, and he can mix up that slider a little bit better now.
Higashioka saying he got the tag on him, and he did. There's out number 1. Well, you know, you talk about the slider, and then there's the split finger as well from Chapman. A pitch that he broke out back in the last year. He strikes out Dahlback. Christian Arroyo grabs the bat and hits for Jackie Bradley Jr. '99 running in. Now that splitter that we saw to finish off Dahlback, I mean, it doesn't even, it just tumbles. It doesn't spin at all. Puts 98 in play, skims out to Kiner Falefa, and it's under or past the glove of Rizzo, and Arroyo steams into second base. It looked like a for sure out number 2. Kiner Falefa earlier today mishandled a ground ball with his glove, and this time his throw is wide of Rizzo. And not even the Gold Glover could bring it in. So a couple of mishaps defensively for one of the newest Yankees. Of course, Connor Falefa, Gold Glover himself, over at third base, now playing shortstop. So the door cracked open for the Red Sox. Tie and run at the plate. And a swinging strike on a high fastball from Vasquez. Fly ball and a center field. Aaron Hicks has taken over defensively in center. There's out number 2.
Got away with that one right there. That one leaks a little bit more towards Vasquez, and it's a tie game. That one floated over the strike zone, and Vasquez just pulled off of it. Of course, you can understand because he's got to be ready for 99 coming at him.
Well, it's up to Kike Hernandez. Last hope for the Red Sox today. He's trying to find a way to get this game to Rafael Devers. Devers on deck. 2 outs. Arroyo at second after the error from Connor Falefa. Gas at 99 for a strike.
The one thing he doesn't want to do is leave one down and in or middle in. That's where the power stroke of Hernandez is. Make him beat you the other way. If somehow he hits a home run the other way, tip your hat. You don't want to make a mistake. As a closer, you know the tie game, the tie runner is at the plate, and you deal with accordingly. You don't even care if you give up a single right here. You just don't want to make a mistake to tie the game.
And the dirt. Chapman last year 30 saves and 34 tries. Trying to notch his first of 2022. Higashioka stays with it. Arroyo's not going anywhere. Two balls and a strike. And Devers is saying, get me up there. Keep this game going. On the ground, Connor Falefa to end it. And he does. A throw on target this time. And the Yankees win it. They take the series. They've won the first 2 to start the season.
Well, this one goes to the bullpen, and 2 big swings. Rizzo and, of course, Stanton. That's what the Yankees are going to be all year. Big swings, big run totals, piece it together. And I'm sure they feel like this team is going to be much better than the team last year. And the team last year went to the playoffs.
Aaron Boone's bullpen, 6 scoreless, no-hit innings. Yankees win it 4-2. For the Hall of Famer John Smoltz and Ken Rosenthal, our entire Fox Sports crew, I'm Aaron Goldsmith. NASCAR Race Day coming up after the break.